What is up, people of YouTube? I'm your host Vernon. This is the Hemenway Harbor. Let's fish that. Alright, ladies and gents, we are just outside the Lake Mead marina. That is the Hemenway Harbor, and this is going to be a Viva Las Vegas video for this area. Now, when I'm saying the Viva Las Vegas video, that does not mean this is the last video you'll see in this area. It just means that this is my last time fishing in this area. I do have a couple of videos saved up, some videos that I will be releasing later on, but this is my last time fishing here at the Hemenway Marina. And rather than going for any type of fish, I'm going to try and target specific type of fish. Now, over the last 4 months, I've not been able to catch any carp at all. I have actually tried, but not caught any carp. So my main focus for today in this video is going to be trying to get some carp out there. Now, that just means getting some baits into the water, having a swim and a little cool down when it gets too hot, but waiting for the fish to find my baits. Alright, so today we are going to be doubling down on the carp setup. Now, what is the carp setup? Well, quite simply, it is a little method feeder. That's just something we put on our pack bait. It goes onto this little screw thing, and we have 2 hooks we can bait. Now, the pack bait, that's quite simple. It's 3 cups of oats, 1 can of corn, and a packet of jello. I'm using some strawberry jello at the moment. And you just compact that into a little ball. The idea being that is your lead weight. That is the weight that's going to be casting out into the water, and that chums the water, drawing in fish to start feeding on your baits. Now, my regular baits at the moment don't seem to be working. That's why I'm not getting carp. So I want to try and do something different, get out some different baits, see if we can get on some fish again. That is why I went for something like this, the little magic baits. If you go to any Walmart, you can find the magic baits. They tend to have the catfish bait. I had to go to 4 different Walmarts to get this strawberry carp bait. This one I got from the Walmart close to Sunset Park. So not every Walmart has them, but they do make an assortment of baits, and I think the strawberry would be a good one. Back in South Africa, we use strawberry quite a lot. In fact, we use something called strawlick. That's strawberry and garlic. So it's something that I know does work, but I've never used this bait, so we'll test that out there. And of course, I have my fake corn. Going to be using some marshmallow floats just to lift the stuff out of the grass. And then I got an assortment of corn. Now, the top one, that is simply some sweet corn, normal sweet corn. The one below that, that is almond flavored corn. And the last one, that is Kool-Aid corn. I'm soaking these baits in these flavors, hoping they would absorb some of the flavor, throw them out there and see if the fish are willing to go for them. Now, when doing a little test like this where you use different flavors and stuff, it's always important to remember what you put on what hook. So if you do get a bite, you know what flavors they are willing to go for. Right, and that's our first rod, baited and out into the water. We have a little strike indicator on a line, a little cork thing that moves up and down when it's getting hit, and it will move towards the fish if we get a fish on that. We also do have a little alarm that will scream. And on this particular reel, I have a little bait runner, a little switch you flip, and it's able to take out line. That's very important when catching carp. These fish grab it, they swim off with it. If it's not able to take out line, either you're going to rip out your hook or you're going to rip out the entire rod into the water. So we have that open. If that screams, just flip that little switch and we catch the fish. Alright, and this one is the second setup. Got our 2 different flavored corns on there. Going to cast that out. Going to try and stick close to each other so we chum one specific spot, but not too close so that we keep getting our lines crossed. So it's more or less in the same spot, just to draw in the fish into one particular spot. Now on this one, I do not have the little bait runner, so on this one I have to loosen the drag so that the line can be taken out, and that's the main difference between the 2 setups. But let's get this one out there as well. Right, and that's our 2 rods baited. We will now wait for some fish to show up. Of course, as the day progresses, the wind is supposed to pick up. And as soon as it gets too hot, we'll be packing up. So fingers crossed, let's see if we can finally get on some carp again. Alright, so when using a little strike indicator or line indicator like that, you can see with the waves moving, there's some movement on it. But every once in a while, there's a lot more erratic movement. That tells me something is messing with my baits down there. Now, while this is happening, I'm not going to reel in or anything unless this thing is physically taking out a line and screaming. There's always a chance that that fish does not have the hook. That's why even if I am seeing movement and stuff, I'm not reeling it in, I'm leaving it out there, and hopefully that fish will find the hook. There we go, alarm screaming. The wind picked up slightly, as expected in summer. You have low wind in the mornings, but as the day progresses it gets a little bit more windy. But we finally have a fish on. Of course, with the corn you'd expect it to be a carp, but with that little strawberry dough baits it can also be a catfish. No way of knowing until we get the fish close. Feeling quite a lot of head shakes, not strong pulls. So I'm thinking more of a channel catfish fight rather than a carp fight. And indeed, we have a channel catfish. Like I said, that strawberry flavored thing works pretty well for carp, but because it has a bit of a stinky flavor, I think it's actually more of a catfish bait rather than a carp bait. But this is a decent sized catfish. Let's quickly get him out of the water. Got him hooked nice in the corner of the lip there. That's just important so we know that this catfish can be released safely. Nice decent weight on him, big belly as well. Lovely colors. Not our intended fish for today, not the target species, but happy to get something. Look at all the leeches on his fins, below his lip there. Quite a lot of parasites on him. But if you clean those parasites and cook the meat, this fish would be pretty safe to eat. I'm not keeping any fish today. There we are, one last look at our little catfish. Lovely gold, olive colors on him. Let's get him to the water. Now he has not been out of the water too long, so he should be ready to go. You can see in the water you have that lovely golden green tinge. Nice decent channel catfish. Send him on his way. Down he goes. So if you're looking for different bait, something that's not too stinky, you can consider these strawberry baits. They seem to work for the catfish, but we are looking for carp. I'm going to rebait, get it back out there.
Much later.
Alright, so we have a fish on. This time it has to be a carp because this is on corn. Just quickly want to get rid of that bell. Now on this I have lighter line, so this fish is taking me into some bush or something. Just gonna give it some slack, see if that fish manages to swim the other way. So that's the problem with this lighter line. I couldn't force that fish towards me, and now he ran into some of the bushes. A couple of weeks ago there was no water here, so we have a couple of trees and bushes growing. He's now wrapped around some cover. And to be honest, I'm no longer feeling the fish, I just feel stuck. Felt like something gave way. And he just popped off. Almost landed a carp. Luckily we had one, but with all this weed and stuff, that hook popped out. Just quickly went to grab the net to land him, but he came loose. So almost had one. You can see here with all the grass and stuff on the line, our little hook is missing. That hook completely broke. Still have the knot on here. So it's not the knot that broke, but it's actually the hook, the little eye of the hook that broke. Alright, ladies and gents, I hope this little microphone is a bit shielded from the wind. It is rather windy, but what a fun time. I set out there with the goal of catching some carp, and after 5 hours, finally managed to hook one. Now people tend to think that carp are dumb. They are not. That fish instinctively knew to head for the nearest cover, got me wrapped around the cover, and it was an uphill battle from there. And maybe that is why it is harder to catch these fish. They're getting used to the baits. They know to not trust these baits. That's why it's a good thing to experiment from time to time. Now in the end, I didn't catch that carp, but at least got to see him, got him hooked, got him right next to the bank when he came off. So in my books, that was a successful day. I mean, we did catch one channel catfish at least. So there was some fish in this video. And that is the key, trying out different baits, different flavors, maybe going for some aniseed or some garlic. Experiment with different things. See if you can find that new thing that these fish are willing to go for. Now, this is also a reminder to make sure that when you do get fish, you're on your A game, you manage to catch that fish. Otherwise, it's another couple of hours spent waiting for some more fish. But for me, for today, that's all the heat I can take. And I want to thank you for following me out here on my last trip to this particular spot. Please do give me a little thumbs up for trying, and feel free to ask any questions down below in the comments. And if you're new here, consider hitting the subscribe button, joining my community. I do weekly videos. But thanks for watching, and like always, see you next time.